like it'll take a second.
So hopefully my internet will remain stable. It was a bit unstable this morning. I was like, oh no, but it seems to be good at the moment. So
Awesome. Well, sometimes that
okay.
happens for me too. It looks like we're good. So, all right. Good morning, everybody. Here in this Be Extraordinary Network, I have an absolutely extraordinary woman here with me today. This is Jacqui Wilkinson. And Jacqui and I have some really profound questions that we're going to dive into. But Jacqui, I'm going to let you introduce yourself first because I just recently have met you and I'm honored to have met you. There was one thing that I read when I was reading more about you that you said, and I was like, God, that's powerful. You said, I'm not a survivor, I'm a warrior. And I was like, okay, she's in beast mode. I love it. And so before I even say anything, Jacqui is absolutely a warrior from what I know of her already. Conversations we were just having before we pressed go live were about dancing with our kids and using music as a catalyst to just get yourself in the right state and connect with your loved ones, as simple as a family dance party. So, Jacqui, would you please tell everybody where you are in the world and a little bit about you, and then I'll dive into some amazing questions.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It's actually really delightful to join you. So my name is Jacqui Wilkinson. I'm actually from the UK, but I'm living in Italy because I'm serving in NATO headquarters at the moment. I'm a wing commander in the British Royal Air Force, logistics officer. So logistics and movements, so moving stuff all around the world is like my bread and butter. But I'm also, yeah, I'm also known for turning the tables on trauma, because not only along this professional kind of sort of story of like, achieving in the military, I've been doing a lot of work overcoming a lot of trauma that happened in my childhood from my parents. And I've recently published my book called Turning the Tables on Trauma. And it's really to help other survivors. It's like a roadmap, a tried and tested roadmap of what do we need to do in order to overcome and heal and to live the most fulfilled life that we can live. And I've done so much research in my whole life just to try and keep chipping away and improving and understanding the root cause of why we are the way we are, why we behave the way we behave as an adult, and how do we change that if there are any negativity that happens. So yeah, that's what I've put into my book, and that's a little bit about me.
Oh my gosh. And the fact that work isn't easy. We all know that like changing in any way it can feel very heavy. And you have changed in so many ways to break cycles for your personal little family. So the first question I want to ask you, Jacqui, is, and I'm going to read my notes if you don't mind, but if you can share with us the pivotal moment that inspired you to write Turning the Tables on Trauma. Was there one pivotal moment?
Yeah, so I think back in 2016, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD. My father had passed away and I imploded. I literally hit rock bottom in my life. When I was 17, I tried to commit suicide. I'd resolved some of that, but when he passed away, he sexually abused me and physically abused me, and there was unresolved trauma there. So in 2016, I had the opportunity of writing a master's dissertation, so an MSc, and my topic was how primary socialization shapes how we narrate our adult behaviors. And I used this as an opportunity to not only research primary socialization and abuse and the theory behind many different types of abuse, whether that's attachment theory, dysfunctional family roles, toxic shame, all of the things, what happens with sexual abuse. I researched it and I wrote an autoethnography, which is a very complex analytical piece of work where I was the researched. So I researched myself. I looked at the theory and I compared it to the lived experience. And I was like, is that true? Is that me? And in doing so, I was able to really hold a mirror up to my face and look at me deeply and go, wow, this is why I do this. And this is why I do that. I did not know that. It was just so revealing. And the self-awareness that I grew from writing that dissertation was phenomenal. And I healed and I changed so many of my behaviors. But then what I did was I just, like 2016, I overcame, but I just put it, I got I graduated, but I didn't do anything with it. And the me search had healed me so much that I was like, this needs to not stay locked in a laptop, in a darkened place. It needs to be shared with other people, right? Because if I can find deep fulfillment, all the research needs to be given to others to help them, because I know I'm not alone. There's lots of people that unfortunately go through these things, and there are too many patterns that, negative patterns that can happen in your lifetime. So I put all my work into this book, and then I published it just this year, in April this year. And I've included all of that research. And I just want to share something which I found whilst really fascinating whilst doing the research for my book, is that there was an ACE study, so adverse childhood experiences. I don't know if you've heard of these, but an ACE study, and ACEs are adverse childhood experiences, so physical, sexual, emotional abuse, but also physical and emotional neglect, and also dysfunction in the household. So growing up with a caregiver who is depressed or is on substances or is incarcerated, or witnessing domestic violence between your caregivers. And all of these ACEs combined can actually shorten your lifespan throughout a lifetime. Yeah. So the ACE study that they did in mid-90s by Kaiser Permanente and the Center for Disease and Control, they surveyed 17,000 people, and they discovered that if you had more than 6 ACEs, your lifespan is likely to reduce by 20 years, because ACEs is a direct link to chronic disease, to illnesses, to negative coping mechanisms, which could be substances, overeating, unhealthy things, all of this stuff. And I was like, this blew my mind. And I didn't know this. I only learned this recently. So I wanted to share that information with other survivors to go, it's absolutely normal what you're going through and why you're going through it, but you can change. And I've included all that into my book. So that's why I was inspired to write it and why I want to share my story.
Wow, I feel like right here, I feel like I could just have like a casual conversation with you that could go on and on and on, because personally, I know family members and friends who definitely experienced some of the things that you experienced, and variations of, and ACEs. And to speak to them directly, I've had so many conversations directly to just say, there is more to life. You can create the life you want, but unless you've had that experience, it's like, yeah, whatever. It's easy for you, right? You can do it. And it's like, no, everyone can. But man, Jacqui, I'm not going to get emotional when I interview you, I promise. But I cannot wait to dive into that stuff when we get done. ACEs. Like, I'm going to go, what? Tell me more.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
That is, well, it's fascinating because the odds are not stacked in your favor, right? And so it's that knowing, it's that knowledge. Knowledge is power. And so it's getting the knowledge that says, okay, this is why and how and what and when, blah, blah, blah. Here's what we can do now. Once you know, you can change. Once you know where you are, you can sort things out and make decisions. But oh my gosh, so good. Okay, number 2 question that I have for you. Your journey from enduring trauma to becoming a wing commander in the Royal Air Force is truly remarkable. It's truly an underdog takes like charge of their life. What fueled your drive to achieve such success despite the internal battles that you were facing your entire childhood?
I became a super achiever to fill the voids that were in my childhood. And what I mean by this is that, I've got 4 postgraduate degrees. I've said before, I was a gold medalist in the UK military heptathlon, the best at one point in my career. I strove for promotion after promotion after promotion. Why? Because I had no value on the inside. So in order to measure up on the outside, I strove for every single external achievement. And that is what gave me some value going, you're worthy, Jacqui. You're okay, you're good enough. And that was what made me do all these things. But what I learned, I'm really emotional, what I learned is that all of these things do not make you fulfilled. Achievements are really short term, they're short lived. You'll achieve one and you're like, right, what's the next thing? Because you're never deeply satiated. And actually, true fulfillment comes from really understanding yourself and finding that deep happiness, not through chasing all of these different things, you know, all of these like accolades. And I remember my therapist once said to me, Jacqui, who would Jacqui be without all of these accolades? And I said, no one. I would be invisible. And that's when you're like, wow, there's something got to change, because I can keep chasing all of these things my entire life. But actually, when you deeply connect to people, when you start living your true story, your true life, that is deep fulfillment. And that is where you find, you know, happiness. So that's what drove me, in all honesty. It was the voids in my life because I never believed I was worthy, and I had very little self-belief.
Wow. And I think people that don't have whatever that is, that drive that just pushes you, and it could be that that self-worth is just that. It's just that. It's as simple as that. But I also know people who look at people who have overcome and are just changing their lives, and they'll say, well, I can't do that. It's like this deep belief too that you could accomplish it. Did you believe you could accomplish these things, or you didn't know, you just knew you would push and drive and go? And if
So
it
I was,
happened, great, but how did that work?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about trying it and showing up for yourself and giving it a go, even if there's doubt. And it's like, come on, you can do this. And you know, when I was doing my degree, I remember being in France, and I got three degrees. Like, I'm a linguist, so I've got a French degree, master's, a Spanish degree, and a UK degree. When I was in France, I was like, I can't do this. There's so much self-doubt. But I was like, Jacqui, just look up and out, look at your future. You can do this. And I had to really talk to myself and coach myself to be able to do that. And it's not easy, but every time you show up and you succeed, you give yourself a little bit of evidence which changes your belief about yourself, right? And it's the evidence that changes beliefs, nothing else. You can't just believe something different. You have to show yourself. And I would keep showing up, keep showing up. And, you know, when I was in the military and I had really good bosses, they would always be like, oh, but you lack confidence, Jacqui. And I was like, well, but you don't know why. I do lack confidence, but there's a reason for that. And they would never know. I'd never be honest about it until very recently. And actually, it's just having mentors around you that are confident, that gives you that, it does rub off. So surrounding yourself with people, with mentors, coaches who can actually lift you up is absolutely a game changer as well. Like for athletics, I had a coach who would constantly be like, keep going, keep going. You know, it's amazing. So yeah, and just keep showing up, even if you're like, I don't want to, just do it.
Yeah. Well, and we are all going to have days where it's like, I don't
Yeah,
want to. This is actually
yeah,
easier if I just don't show up today. But it's not about what's
yeah,
easier. It's about building that evidence and creating that future that you see. Like you said, you look up and you look out and look at the future.
yeah,
It's like, that's where we have to live. Sometimes,
yeah,
yes, we need to be. Yes, we
yeah,
need to be, right? We have to be fulfilled here. There's nothing out there that's going to validate us, but you do have to have a North Star
yeah,
that's like, go,
yeah.
you know. Oh gosh, Jacqui, you are so phenomenal. All right, next question I have for you. Breaking generational cycles. This I am passionate about. Okay, breaking generational cycles of abuse is no small feat. What advice would you give to others who are looking to heal while breaking such cycles?
Yeah, this is there are so many different things that you can do to help yourself, but research, research and read. There is so much information out there that costs very little, that everyone can do that and learn from the experts. Follow the science. Don't follow the myths, follow the science. When studies have been done and all of this is proving, it validates you as a person and your feelings, because when it's written that this is likely to cause this behavior, you're like, oh, God, I'm not alone. That hugely helps you know, you overcome. And as I mentioned before, you know, when we stand on the shoulders of giants, find a mentor, you can then reach further and surpass your potential like no other. What I did throughout my life is my daily medicine was exercise. And I've now know that there's been 3 decades of research that proves categorically that moving your mental fitness is one of the most empowering things you can do. So when you're a survivor of abuse and you're affected with depression, anxiety, PTSD, what you need to do is move, just keep moving. And when you do this, you will flood your body with endorphin, serotonin, dopamine, and that empowers you to overcome. It lifts your state, changes your state. And this was my go-to. This was my daily medicine. And I didn't need to have any other medications because our bodies medicate for us. So just move your mental health, find your thing and do it. Whatever it is, it's different for everyone. Just find your thing. Knowing what, the other thing is nutrition, sleep, all of these things are so important. And, understanding your mindset, your purpose, all of those, your emotional regulation, if you can research these things and understand why am I behaving the way I'm behaving and look at the science, you get to break generational cycles. And for me, I joined a positive parenting community because I thought, because I had really crap role models for parents, they were horrible. I was like, well, I'm going to be a rubbish mother. I don't know how to be a good mother. So I joined a positive parenting community and I watched masterclasses. Like, how do you deal with this? Oh, that's great. And you just that's what I do. I just look for people who are experts in their field and do the research. So, four fundamental questions are, what do I believe about myself? And what exactly do I want from my life? And why do I want this? And how am I going to get it? What do I need to do in order to get it? Asking those things about all aspects of your life will actually help you break those generational cycles.
Yeah, and those questions are questions that you're not taught in school to ask yourself.
No.
And so the breaking generational cycles, right? That's on you as a human being. That has nothing to do with your career path or anybody else in your life, your experiences, who you marry. It's all on you. And so
It's
yeah,
fundamentally the most important role, isn't it? The most
yeah,
important role that's bestowed upon you, that if you don't get it right, like you're affecting a little human being. So I was like, right, what can I do so I don't pass any of that trauma onto my children? This is what I need to get right because ultimately nothing else matters, right?
yeah, no. And when I think of this with my personal people in my family that I know, I talk to them about this, and you can correct me, Jacqui, if this is the wrong approach too, please. But I like to say, that happened. Yes, it sucks. It's awful. But by doing this work, by asking these sorts of profound questions to yourself, you get to heal for that little girl. She's still inside of you. She's still
Yeah,
there. And she's
yeah.
still hurting and crying and mad and angry and so just defeated. But we have to move past that. We don't have to stay there. We can heal that, and we can break these cycles by doing the work. But the work is for you first. Yes, it's for our kids and the next generations, but it is for that little girl inside of you first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to come back on that, so in my book, you'll see letters written by my own hand, and one is written in my left hand, where I wrote, my little Jacqui wrote to adult Jacqui saying what she needed. It's really powerful when you do that because you're using your opposite side of the brain. So and you write in your non-dominant hand. So if you're naturally left-handed, it needs to be the opposite hand, right? But when you do this and the writing, because the writing looks not very neat and like child writing, and it comes from you do that. So I attended a workshop back in 2011, like healing the wounded child or the child within. And we did this letter writing, and I included it in my book to show how profoundly impactful that is of you connecting with your inner child and you're healing them. And then that does actually help you listen. And I brought a teddy that were connected to my inner child. It's a little elephant. When you do this, you show up for her as an adult. It's beautiful. So yeah, that's really important as well.
Gosh, I've never heard of anybody doing that exercise, and I will be, again, making more notes for myself after the interview, doing more work here, and sharing it with those that I know need it. So, and buying your book, by the way, for sure. My next question, Jacqui, is you write about the power of forgiveness, gratitude, self-love, and self-compassion. And I slowed down on that word because that word's huge. Which of these was the hardest for you to embrace, and how did you work through it? So again, for anybody, forgiveness, gratitude, self-love, and self-compassion.
Yeah, so I think the hardest one for me to embrace was gratitude because I remember attending, I think it was Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, or one of his other courses, and he said, we can all find gratitude for everything that's happened to us in our lives. And I was like, hmm. And I struggled with this because I was like, how can I find gratitude over like my father sexually abusing me or the abuse that I've endured? This is really hard. But you know what I did? And what I was grateful for was the fact that he did plead guilty. So when I was 12, he pleaded guilty in a court of law. He still got off with a 2-year suspended custodial sentence, but at least he pleaded guilty, and many don't. So
Right.
many survivors have to deal with, am I believed? Do people believe me? It's his word against that. That is really difficult to believe, but I didn't have to go through that. I'm believed because there was a sentencing. So I'm grateful for that. But equally, because he pleaded guilty, it meant that he became on a child's like safety register, so he couldn't then go on to abuse others, right? And that's actually really important that it protects other children. So that's what I found. But actually, the power of gratitude, it cancels out any anger that you have. You can't be grateful at the same time as being angry. And so with my family, we introduced like a daily gratitude. So we sit around the dinner table, it's our kind of tradition, like ritual, and we will all give 3 things that we're grateful for every single day. And so I'm showing them the power of gratitude at their young age. And it's so cute because they're mostly like, oh, I'm grateful for the ice cream that I've eaten.
Yeah, we do
Was
this
there
too.
anything else?
I'm grateful for my pink shirt. I'm grateful for the same thing in our
And
house.
it's cute. It's still that mindset of understanding gratitude. So that's what I found useful. But equally, forgiveness was also quite an interesting one because for a long time, I struggled with forgiveness because I was very resentful, really angry that I don't have any decent parents. This was done to me. Where's my justice? Da, da, da. There was a lot of anger. But then I read something really profound about, forgiveness is not about forgiving what they've done, but about letting go of the resentment and anger so that we don't react in anger in situations, but we respond. We have that power to do that. And when I'd started to let go of this, I was like, oh my God, this is an interesting concept about forgiveness. And that's what I did. And it changed so many dynamics and the hostility that I held within my body, because you do hold that. And that's really empowering as well. And then the self-care is one key question I ask myself is, Jacqui, what do you need right now? So when I feel overwhelmed brewing, and it's a feeling that you feel, it's normally like, there's lots of stuff going on in the home, whatever, and you feel this, I just stop and like, Jacqui, what do you need right now? And it might be simple as just go and lie down for 5 minutes, take some time out. Daddy, you've got the kids, right? Great. Whatever it is, I just need that. And sometimes I just need recharge. Good. I'm good to go. Good to go again. Because we all get tired, and that's when So self-care, self-love is all about for me an hour every day doing my fizz, doing my exercise. That's me time, and that's precious. But it makes me a happier mum, a better wife, a better mother to my children. So if we don't give ourselves that self-care, or self-love, I call that we don't sort of show up in our best way to our family. So I think that's really important. And then the last one we said was self-compassion. Was that?
Self-compassion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is like the absolutely most important thing for anyone who wants to heal. And when I had a conversation with my husband, I was like, talked about self-compassion. He was like, what is self-compassion? And I was like, it's as simple as just talking to yourself with love without the negativity. Like, I used to berate myself so much. I'd be like, God, for God's sake, you've messed that up again. Negative, negative, negative. I was like, no, that's not compassion. That's not self-compassion. Actually, okay, that happened. Failure's feedback. Let's crack on. Let's do it again. So it's changing the dialogue in your head where all I heard was negativity, and it's changing it to more love for yourself. So they're all so powerful, so important to healing and understanding better.
Yeah, and the self-compassion too is being worthy of
Yeah.
self-compassion, right? Knowing that you can be kind to yourself because you are good enough as you are. You are everything. So I want to circle back to a funny part that you were mentioning about the gratitude is I think when people see gratitude practice a lot of times, and not probably not so much in this community, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but it's I have to be grateful for these big things. And in your experience, you had to probably dig pretty deep to find that thing, that little golden nugget to be grateful for with your father in that moment. And then when we bring it to our children and we get to model that, it's sometimes truly very inspiring to hear what a kid is grateful for. So if you have a child in your life, I think ask them, because when they say something like the dog, and it's not even a real dog, it's a stuffed animal dog that's got marker all over it, and you're like, that messy thing, it shows you that it doesn't need to be a mansion and a yacht, all these materialistic
No.
things. That the gratitude is for experiences and for people and for
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it's just so good, so good. All right,
One of the most, just to go on that, one of the most
yeah,
cutest ones with my 5-year-old daughter. She was like, "Oh yeah, such and such came and asked me to play today, and that was really nice at school." Now that wouldn't have come out. It's amazing what comes out in those conversations, and then you have a full-blown conversation about it. So very precious moments, and I highly recommend gratitude practice. It's lovely.
for sure, for sure. But yeah, my daughter said I made a new friend at dance. I made a new friend, and I'm like, really? What's her name? I don't know, but she was in the blue leotard, and I was like, yes. Names don't matter, details don't matter, we can still be grateful, you don't have to know it all. Like, so good. Yes, yes, yes.
Amazing.
Oh, Jacqui, I feel like a half hour is not long enough. Okay. um, I'm gonna just look at my questions here, and I'm gonna skip. I don't want to skip. I'm gonna go through it. I picked all these and I went through and I rewrote, and like, these are questions I want people to hear. So your book serves as a beacon of hope for survivors, for sure. If there's one message you want readers to walk away with after reading Turning the Tables on Trauma, what would it be?
That every single person has the power inside of themselves to change. And you can't change your past, but you can absolutely change your future, and you can absolutely change your behaviors. And it's understanding what's causing those behaviors to change. So, I think when people read my book, I hope it's a roadmap to go, okay, and to just encourage them to do a little bit more deeper research and be curious. Just be really curious about why am I doing that? Doing that deep root cause analysis. I was having a conversation with my husband, and he said what's absolutely key is that we are brutally honest with each other. We're to help each other. So when I notice that there's some like tension with him, I'm just like, oh, it's because of that. I root cause analyze straight away. And he's like, he initially puts up a little, no, I don't think it is. And then actually is like, yeah, so true. That's so true. Okay, well, let's go fix that. And then that'll be done. It's brilliant. I
Moving
kid you
on.
not. It's so amazing. So yeah, root cause analysis. So I just hope that, everyone can believe that they can do this. And when you get to that place, it's lovely.
Oh, and the curiosity, right? It's like somebody can tell you what to do, but until you're curious yourself of like, will this even work for me?
Yeah.
Should I try it? Does this pertain to me? You really do have to have the curiosity in order to learn.
Yeah.
I can't teach my kids I homeschool. I can't teach my kids anything if they don't have any sort of curiosity at all about the subject matter, because they're gonna be like, yeah, boring, So curiosity, I
Yeah.
love that. Just ask yourself those questions that you mentioned before, the 4 questions. Okay, what would you say to someone who feels stuck in the shadows of self-loathing, doubt, and shame?
Yeah, so I was there for many years. The shame is a huge emotion, really debilitating, because, it's just surrounded by just so much negativity. But actually, what I learn is that when you start owning your truth and being really vulnerable and open and honest, you start to build shame resilience. And when you build shame resilience, you become, I mean, I feel like I'm bulletproof now. I'm like, yeah, throw it at me. Because I'm so healed in relation to my trauma and what happened to me. And like my scars are now strength. So what I would say is that you will build shame resilience by owning your story, by being truthful. And when you like are validated by people, and then you realize actually I'm not alone and this is normal and everything is normalized, it really helps with your healing and it reduces your shame resilience. And me, I think writing my book and being open with my work, because I had doubts, about, oh, should I, as a senior military officer, should I be doing this? Should I be telling my story with those people? What will they think of me? But then I was like, no, this is absolutely fine. This is like, I've achieved all of this despite that. And actually, by sharing it, you will help other people, the younger version of myself, which I know are out there. And now I'm a mentor for a younger version of myself in the military because it happens far too often. That is what is empowering. So if you feel stuck and you've got that self-doubt, just have faith and let faith drive your behavior as opposed to fear. because I promise that when you do that, your doors will open up and opportunities will present themselves. So yeah, build shame resilience.
Gosh, so good. Next question, Jacqui. I don't need to add anything to that. You are profound. Looking back at your journey, what are you most proud of? And this is not in terms of all the incredible achievements, but in terms of your personal growth and your healing, what are you most proud of?
It's got to be the biggest thing, which is breaking the generational cycle of abuse. My children, so I was, had 9 aces from both parents, and my
Nine
children,
aces.
9, yeah. 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 So, sexual and physical abuse from my father, emotional abuse from my mother, emotional and physical neglect from my mother, because she was a drunk, an alcoholic, and she was depressed. I witnessed their domestic violence. This was her having a knife to his throat, him punching in the face, causing black eyes. I witnessed all of this growing up. They had such a volatile divorce after he pleaded guilty, and I had to go through all of this and compartmentalize like so much abuse. But I know that I have stopped and reversed that for the sake of my children, because I do conscious parenting, present, I'm present with them, and there's an open dialogue with them as well. And the great kind of master, I'll call him, Dr. Gabor Mate, he's written many books, one called The Myth of Normal. And he said, if we can lessen the trauma that was done to us on our children, we are succeeding. We are, successful. And I know categorically that I've done that for my children. And that always what makes me want to cry, because they will never know what I went through, like feel it or experience it. They don't have to. No children do. We owe it to our next generations to heal ourselves so we don't have unresolved trauma, which means we get to break those generational cycles, and we could all do that. And that's the biggest personal growth and healing that I know that I've achieved, and I'm really proud of it more than anything else.
Gosh, to find words to follow up to say how amazing that is there aren't any. It goes back to what you said in the very beginning, Jacqui, when you were masking all those achievements because you had no self-worth. So you were finding your worth in your outside achievements. And now to see you speak and to even get emotional as you're talking about all of the inside achievements, that's how you know that you have healed right there. It's like wing commander, amazing. All the things, the leadership roles, the degrees, amazing, fantastic, but they are just pieces of paper. And they also are for other people, right? You're serving other people, which is how we should live a life. But you serve people best by healing generational cycles. And that's how you can serve people best. And you have done that, and you have done all the hard work, and you have a very beautiful family. So my last question, Jacqui, is what does being an extraordinary woman mean to you? And how do you live that truth today?
So one of the most profound quotes that I read was, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." And I know I am the change, and so can everyone. So can you. If you've experienced anything in your life where it's been hard and challenging, you get to choose, you get to change, and you get to be that change that you want to see. And this is the most empowering thing you can give yourself as a gift. Vulnerability is a strength. It's not a weakness, as I once believed when I started serving in the military, going, I can't show any signs of weakness. It absolutely is a strength, and we've got to embrace that as a strength and being honest, because it leads to deeper connection in all types of relationships. It's so empowering. And just be curious about your behavior and go, do I want to be like that, or do I want to change? Neuroplasticity and neuroscience is teaching us, that we can change all of this. We have that power to rewire. And I'm actually undertaking a hypnotherapy course to become a certified hypnotherapist. And all the language teaches us to do that as well. So be the change.
Oh, Jacqui, it's so beautiful. And the fact that you're be the change, right? And be the change means, what I say in our home is we have to live a learning lifestyle. You're always learning. And that change is something that we don't even know exactly what we're changing into. We might not have the solid future vision, but we have the vision. It's something out there, something up there. I like to say leveling up. And so be the change for everybody is the most beautiful way to end. And I think you absolutely have been the change and are the change. And the fact that you're still learning and still pursuing even more knowledge to dive deeper and more nuanced and maybe even outside of the scope of what you've ever done is that's the life we all need to live. And not need, that's the wrong word. We get to live.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Jacqui, thank you for your time. Just you're phenomenal. You are extraordinary indeed. And I cannot wait personally to get your book. And so
Thank you.
Jacqui, can you share with everybody where they would be able to find you or how they can get your book? Feel free to drop it in the comments too when you come back if you're not currently don't have it open.
Yeah, so my name, Jacqui Wilkinson, is my IG handle. So at Jacqui Wilkinson, all lowercase, one word. You know, my details on my book are actually linked onto my Instagram account, so you can find it there, and that should take you directly through. It's on Amazon, direct through to that. On the book notes, so this is what the copy of the book looks like. To show you, you see that? All proceeds, all profits go to charity. And the charity is called Access Counselling, supporting survivors of sexual abuse. This was the very first counselling organisation that I went to age 17. And they were the ones that helped turn my life around. So I'm giving back all profits to them. So if you buy a book, you're giving to charity and you've got the knowledge as well. So please buy.
Wow, you're amazing. Thank you, Jacqui, very, very much. Everybody, have a beautiful rest of your Thursday and go check out Jacqui's IG. And I'll put some more links in once I close this out too, so people can just click on the thing too. So amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Jacqui.
Ashley, thank you so much. It was so lovely to meet you.
Yes, you're phenomenal. Phenomenal.